What's up, everybody? My name's Brady Briggs. I want to go over the next two fight cards with you leading up to UFC 257. First off, we got Max Holloway against Calvin Kattar in the main event this weekend. This is a championship level fight that's just not for a belt. They're two of the best boxers in the sport. I'd say Kattar's more of a pure boxer. Holloway mixes in a little more kicks with it. Holloway's a volume fighter, while Kattar is just a banger. He'll stand in the pocket and trade with you. He's pretty good at sliding though and not getting hit himself. But one thing that really strikes me about this fight, when you arguably win your last fight and it's a championship fight and the judges don't give it to you, your motivation isn't going to be the same. Not to mention, Holloway's last loss, third to last loss, no, against Dustin Poirier, Kattar's very similar to Poirier. Poirier is also one of the best boxers in the sport. I don't know. This is a very hard fight to pick. The co-main event, we finally got Matt Brown and Carlos Condit. Finally. We were supposed to get this twice before, once like 5 or 6 years ago, and then once in 2018. Both of these guys use their own style of Muay Thai. They're both as violent as they come. They're both finishers. This is going to be a great fight. Matt Brown just needs to watch out for the hooks of Carlos Condit, right or left, and I think he'll be okay. But if he doesn't, his last 3 losses are all by knockout. They're his only 3 knockout losses. He just turned 40 years old 3 or 4 days ago. That's it's got me a little worried, but it's a very, very good fight. I'm so excited to see it. Now, the feature fight, we got Santiago Ponzinibbio coming back. Finally, we get the return of this guy. And they gave him a good matchup, too, in Li Jingliang. Now, Jingliang's a really good fighter, but I don't know. The only thing that I can give him an advantage in this fight is he's been more active. Ponzinibbio hasn't fought in over 2 years when he knocked out Neil Magny in the main event in round 4. Magny's since gone 3-0. Ponzinibbio, he just can't stay healthy. He's gotten COVID. He keeps getting injured. His opponents pull out. He's finally coming back. Thank God. Jingliang is a really good boxer himself, but he's more of a banger. Ponzinibbio is more technical. I think Ponzi's got this one. I wouldn't be upset to see Jingliang win, though. I love that kid. Joaquin Buckley and Alessio Di Chirico. Now, Di Chirico's coming off of 3 defeats. He is a very good fighter, though. He's pretty technical. He's dangerous, but he's also very good at scoring points. While Buckley is just a march you down and box you kind of guy. We found that out when he fought Kevin Holland. That's mostly what he has. And then we found out in his next fight, he's got a couple tricks up his sleeve. And then we found out in his next fight, he can knock people out with his boxing. He's very fun to watch. I've since learned he's fought for LFA and Bellator, too. It's really cool. So is Kevin Holland. Now, Punahele Soriano and Dusko Todorovic. Oh, my God. This is a great fight between 2 undefeated middleweight studs. Now, Soriano, I had to look him up because I couldn't remember his name. But then when I saw he's the one that KO'd Oscar Pichota, I was like, whoa, this is the dude that's fighting this weekend. This is going to be interesting. Dusko's a really good fighter himself. I can't wait to see how that one goes. I think Soriano might knock him out. I don't know. That's going to be a good one. I'm really excited to see Soriano again. Really excited. The third fight of the night, we got David Zawada, former RFC champ, versus a 6-time M1 Global champ, Ramazan Emeev. Now, Emeev's gone 4-1 in the UFC so far. Zawada's gone 1-2. He lost his first 2 fights. He won his last fight. He submitted Abubakar Nurmagomedov with a triangle choke in the first round. That was very impressive. This is going to be a good fight. Emeev isn't the most dangerous fighter in the world, but he does know how to score points, and he does know how to win rounds. This will be very interesting between 2 very elite talents from the other side of the world. And then the fourth fight of the night, this is the last one I'm going to go over on this card, is Carlos Felipe and Justin Tafa. Carlos Felipe impressed me in his last fight against Yorgan De Castro, who starched Justin Tafa in the first round. But Justin Tafa, man, his striking is very fun to watch. He's only 27 years old. He's only 4-1. Carlos is 9-1. This is going to be a good fight to see where they're both at, and I can't wait to see how it goes. Now we got UFC on ESPN 20 or UFC Fight On 8. The first one was UFC on ABC 1 or UFC Fight Island 7. This one's ESPN 20 or Fight Island 8. Hamzat Chimaev and Leon Edwards obviously isn't happening. They both caught COVID, but you know what that means? Come March 13th, we'll actually get to see them fight, as long as neither of them get injured. Jinx. They better not. We got Michael Chiesa and Neil Magny was bumped up to the main event, which, both of these guys deserve a main event spot. Chiesa was still a top 10 guy at lightweight. He was top 15 anyway, for sure, when he went up to welterweight, even though he was coming off 2 losses. One of them was incredibly controversial, the Kevin Lee one. It seems like he just makes better decisions up at welterweight, first off. Second off, I don't know how he ever made the 156-pound limit. He is a fucking behemoth of a man. He is so big. He's so big. And his wrestling is so good. His MMA grappling is so good. He may have been submitted in 3 of his 4 losses. He's one of the best MMA grapplers in the entire world. He has the perfect MMA grappling style, like Damian Maia, like Uriah Faber, like Brian Caraway. They're good at taking you down. They're good at controlling you when you're on the ground, and they're good at submitting you. MMA grappler. Neil Magny has shown some real improvements. This dude is blossomed into one of the more elite fighters in the world. Chiesa came from the Ultimate Fighter 15. He went 4-0 on the show and won. Magny went 3-1 on the show. He lost his semifinal fight to Mike Ricci. He was from the season after. Man, if Chiesa can't get this fight done, which Magny is no slouch on the ground, but I would definitely give the advantage to Chiesa. If Chiesa can't get it done, he's going to get tuned up. If he can get it done and he can keep the energy to keep getting Magny done, or he can submit him, obviously, he's going to do well. The co-main events, Warley Alves versus Mounir Laziz. Now, I have been looking forward to Laziz's next fight, since his last fight, when he fought Abdul Razak Al Hassan. I don't remember who he's the kickboxing coach for, but he's a kickboxing coach at some gym. And he's a former kickboxer. He's got wicked striking. He's so fun to watch. Warley Alves is pretty decent on the feet, too, and he's really good on the ground. I really hope Laziz wins this fight because I want to see him fight a lot. He's very fun to watch. Now, got Ike Villanueva and Vinicius Moya. Neither of these guys have done too well in the UFC, but if it stays on the feet, Villanueva probably gets the knockout. If it goes to the ground, Moya is going to submit him. That's a no-brainer. Got Roxanne Modafferi and Viviane Araújo. Roxanne has come back and won some fights you wouldn't expect her to. That's the thing about her. You can't really cone her out. Even though, the Macy Barber fight, as much of an underdog as she was, the only reason she won that fight is because Macy got injured. It doesn't matter. She won that fight. She wins fights when you don't expect her to. You can't cone her out. That being said, I think Araújo is going to beat her. I'm not going to bet on it, though. We got Lerone Murphy and Douglas Silva de Andrade. Now, this one I'm really excited for, too, because Lerone Murphy is a prodigy. This kid is so talented. He just TKO'd Ricardo Ramos in the first round of his last fight. Ricardo Ramos is a beast. That kid is, man, he's got a bright future ahead of him. And Lerone just finished him in the first round. His fight before that, he went to a draw with Zuba Takaga. He's an elite fighter. Douglas Silva de Andrade, we found out when he came to the UFC, I think he was 22-0. We found out very quickly that his record is padded as shit, but we also found out in the fights afterward that he is an elite talent. He is a very good fighter. Matt Schnell and Tyson Nam. Now, this is a battle of former flyweight champs. This is going to be a really good fight. The thing that compels me about this fight, Schnell's first 2 fights in the UFC were both KO defeats. Nam's last 2 fights in the UFC were both knockouts. One in early round 1, one in early round 2. Now, Nam, like Schnell, lost his first 2 fights in the UFC, but he lost to Kai Kara-France and who else? Sergio Pettis, I think. There's no shame in losing to either of those guys. And Tyson Nam is where he belongs now, finally. I'm so glad the UFC has kept this division so we have talents like Matt Schnell and Tyson Nam on it. Oh, and also Suma Dajri and Zukhar Adadishev, or Adashev, rather. Adashev is 16-3 as a pro kickboxer. He's only 3-2 as a pro mixed martial artist. I think the UFC signed him a little too soon. Like that's who Tyson Nam KO'd in his last fight. But he may only be 3-2, but he's a pro kickboxer. And Sumo Dodri is an absolute prodigy on the feet. He's got 4 losses. They're all submissions. I don't think Adeshev is going to be someone to submit him. This is going to be a really wicked stand-up fight. We've got Ricky Simone and Gaetano Perillo. Now, these are a pair of former bantamweight champions as well. Perillo is German. I think he's 15-5-1. Simone is 16-3. He's done very well in the UFC. Perillo, I don't think he hasn't fought in the UFC yet. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'm really excited for Ricky Simone's future too. That kid's he's a stud. Got Dalcha Lungiambula and Marcus Perez. This is a good fight. Lungiambula was gonna fight Carl Robertson until I think Robertson, I can't be sure though, don't quote me. One of them got COVID and the fight was canceled. It's so unfortunate because, man, that was going to be such a good fight. We got one African beast of a knockout artist and a former kickboxer. It would have been such a good fight. This is a good fight, too. Perez just got knocked out in his last fight by Dricus du Plessis, a former KSW champ. No shame there. But he started out his career 10-0. He's now 12-4. While Dalcha lost his last fight, he was finished by Magomed Ankalaev. No shame there. And then we got Omari Akhmedov and Tom Breeze. Now, Tom Breeze, he could have gotten comeback fight of the year had he won his last fight against Brendan Allen because, man, he has looked incredible aside from that fight. Brendan Allen's a beast, though. He's the only man to submit Kevin Holland in the UFC. He's a good fighter. Omari Akhmedov, he lost his last fight to Chris Weidman. It was a close fight. You know, it obviously came down to round 3, and Weidman, even though he had nothing left in the tank, he had more left because he was able to take him down a moment. But Akhmedov's a good fighter. You know, he's kind of like a kickboxer brawler, and he's a very good wrestler. While Tom Breeze, man, that dude just secured a knockout with a jab in his last fight, or his last win earlier 2020. And then the last one on this card, this one I'm really excited for. I'm so glad this got rescheduled. Umar Nurmagomedov and Sergey Morozov. Both of these tanks are making their UFC debuts in their next fight. Now, Umar is a former BOV and GCF champion, while Morozov is a former M1 Global, or maybe M1 Challenge. I think they changed it to M1 Challenge champion. This is going to be a really, really high-level fight. Let me know what you guys think of these fights. I'm glad I talked to you.